This is your stage, your spotlight. Hello, Meghalaya. Your story starts here.
Unong aiktin ka Voice of the People Party VPP u Dr. Bats Kham merbo ulapan pau baka khamsok ka Pyntreikam daka Inline permit ILP banya ka Meghalaya Residents Safety and Security Act MRSSA halor ka nong rim baka kham khlan kham janai bat kam ban khia yaki nong song snong kumjo yaki bor panyat Shu naka jingjia sapanyap u Raja Raghuvanshi uniu nong aiktin ulaong bakladon kam kerki bandan ka thop ki Kyndon an ban penyat ya ka kam Jngohkai bat ka jingwan ki brio basabar haka baka VPP kadang yengs Kham bandawa Pyntreikam ya ka ILP ulaong baka ILP kadon kam ban sngan ya ki nong song snong kumju ki bawan Jngohkai ya ka jella bat kado baka kam runar ka badang sen ka kado baki dan ki jing deko haka ba pet benya ya ki bawan nabar Daka bakdaw baka MRSSA ka khamsitam haba Pyntreikam banyak ILP ulaong baka tekaan ka kta yaki nong song snong bat kibawan sa kajala namar ka ban khia yaki dorbar snong.
You see, it is definitely it is. Why? Because as I said, this MRSSA. For example, I'm telling you, I myself, I'm a tenant. In the last few years, I had to fill forms and submit my documents again and again and again and again every year. Even for the local people, it does not spare because here, it doesn't distinguish between the people from outside the state and people from within the state. But with regard to ILP, it is very specific. It is about people coming from outside the state to the state, and therefore. This MRSSA is more complex than the ILP. You see, we will, because we are in, the party that has only one MP, but nevertheless, we will keep in touch with the central government. We will try to raise this in the parliament, and as I said, we will also get in touch with the government, try to pursue the agenda of the people. This is not the agenda of the VPP. This is not the issue of the VPP. This is the issue of the state, and this is the issue of the people. And so, because during the election also we are, we made this as one of the agenda, as one of the manifestos of the party. So we should be committed to that. Let us go to this tourism sector. Tourism sector, if you analyze in Meghalaya, and in fact in the recent incident, you will find that there are so many gaps in the sector in spite of the fact that we have huge potential in this area. Those gaps, we can see that we find that at a tourist spot you'll find that there's no proper registration of the vehicles of the people visiting those places, and then you'd find also the lack of electricity. Then the CCTV cameras were not really present in many of the locations. So these deals with the basic infrastructure as well as the security concern. And therefore, when we talk about tourism in Meghalaya, no doubt it has huge potential to be the game changer for the livelihood of the people. But I keep saying that tourism in Meghalaya, we cannot afford to go for the mass tourism where you measure only in terms of the footfall. But you should also measure the kind of tourism on the basis of, of the capability of the tourist to spend in the state. Because as I said, Meghalaya has the fragile environment. You cannot go overboard with uncontrolled tourism. It has to be somewhat balanced with the environment also. And also when you have this tourism, you should ensure also the safety of the tourist. Yes, definitely in the context of Meghalaya, when in the recent incident, it shows that people from outside the state, they can come and commit crimes. But having said that, I see this as not a regular happening. Yes, such kind of sad incident would happen anywhere also. Where you find people, they will go to a certain place and commit murder. It happens in other parts of India also. But this should give us the lesson also. But definitely, as the Voice of the People Party, we have been arguing that there should be, some sort of the regulation. And in Meghalaya, what we have been demanding is the implementation of the Inline permit. Yes, there have been the arguments saying that, when you have the Inline permit, it is not only about the safety of the local people, but also the safety of the visitors, of the tourists. So, some sort of mechanism should be put in place. But, we have seen that the people in this region, they have been demanding for the implementation of the Inline permit. And I don't see the reason why should the government not trying to implement such kind of a policy, or such kind of a measure in the region. You see, when you say tourism will be affected if ILP is implemented in the state, I think this argument comes from those people who are, I would say, is a lazy argument. Lazy argument in the sense that when you go to, where you travel, ultimately it involves some kind of activity, right? For booking the tickets, booking the planes, definitely you do that. When you talk about airline permit, it is no different than booking your flight ticket. Because when you nowadays with the help of technology, you can apply online for the permit. And if you say that applying for an airline permit will hinder the inflow of tourism, it is as good as saying that if you have to book your tickets, it will it will hinder the flow of tourists. Can you just when you have that argument, it means that you don't prepare for your tour, rather you just go blindly. That is, I said this is absurd argument ever made, and I don't find any substance in it, especially in the age of technology. In the past, I understand where you have to physically go to the physical office, apply the permit. In the, I would say that in the 1980s till the 1990s, that argument was valid, but not in the age of technology.
Well, the state cabinet has decided to give more tip to MRSSA. And in fact, the state cabinet has also said that the homestays has to be registered in the state. So, do you think that this MRSSA can be a substitute?
You know, MRSSA, I would say that that is not a substitute to ILP. And in fact, that talks about the safety of the residents, the safety of the, of the tenants, and safety, and it puts also obligations on the landlord. That is a different law altogether. It has, I would say it has nothing to do with, I would say, controlling the people or monitoring the coming of the people from outside the state. And in fact, if it does also, because even the local people are affected by this law, because this law does not talk only about the people coming from outside the state. It deals with the people who are moving from one place to another, even within the state. So this law is a complicated law, I would say, and yes, if you truly implement it, yes, it may be able to trace the people because ultimately it deals with registration. But I would say that it is very cumbersome law, and it affects even the local people also, and therefore it involves also a lot of works for even for the local darbar and the authority. And as I said, because even for the local people also, it requires registration and and submitting of documents, and therefore it involves a lot of work. But ILP, when you talk about it, it talks only or deals only with people who visit the state from from outside the state, and therefore it is a very specific in its target.
Habatin, pej bahagi kashab plus F.
Ka plus F?
Hakabam bangibam dunaki eki bataya kamet. Namar kata habathiru atau kau kamlu ka umpnyang kadut pej ya kashab plus F haka jingsom. Yaki nutrient kumki vitamin bat ka ayan la icon diat bat ka bathau bha kam kata ai ka dur jingki mar bam ka jing mat lani ka rukom shed yaki balehi banai kita kadon ka we ka jing mentoy ba kongsan ka kot ka khia ka nutrition ba kham bha ka jing im ba kham bha pindon kam daki mar bam madon ka sharp plus F menta kasni
Lawan Ra Shafi Lingba ko office jong Commissionerate of Food Safety Meghalaya